Honorable members, item 6 is at page 2 of the original order paper. Statements. Media review of the budget statement and economic policy of the government of Ghana for the 2024 financial year. Minister for Finance.
Thank you. The Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members of Parliament, on the authority of His Excellency President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, I present to you the mid-year fiscal policy review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana for the 2024 financial year. The mid-year fiscal policy review presentation is in fulfillment of Section 28 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921. Mr. Speaker, this statement is an abridged version of the mid-year fiscal policy review of the budget statement and economic policy for the 2024 financial year. I respectfully request that the entire mid-year fiscal policy be captured in the Hansard. Mr. Speaker, I want to begin this mid-year policy review by expressing my gratitude to His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, for appointing me to serve as the Finance Minister, especially at this critical time in our nation's history. It is such an honor and privilege to serve in this capacity, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. As the Member of Parliament for Karaga and one of your own, I wish to also express my profound appreciation to you, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, for the immense support I have received since I assumed office as Minister for Finance. I will continue to rely on the full cooperation of the House as we work together to serve our country. Growing up as a young boy in Ababu, Tamale, it never crossed my mind that I will one day stand before you to address this august House in this capacity. The young people out there should therefore know that, especially those sitting in the public gallery, that it is possible with hard work. It is possible with hard work, dedication, and by the grace of God, all of you have limitless opportunities to serve our country. Mr. Speaker, the last 2 years have been extremely challenging globally, and Ghana has not been an exception. The difficult economic environment has truly affected businesses and families, particularly the vulnerable in our society. These challenges have severely affected households, increased cost of living, and limited the creation of job opportunities. Our young people continue to seek employment opportunities beyond what the state can provide. Mr. Speaker, it has indeed been a difficult time, and I deeply empathize with our fellow Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, over the last 2 years, government has embarked on a number of decisive measures to get us back on the path of fiscal consolidation, economic stability, and growth. And I'm happy to note that these policies we have implemented are yielding the expected results. Growth continues to exceed our expectations. The 4.7% growth rate reported by the Ghana Statistical Service for the first quarter 2024 exceeds the 3.1% recorded in the same period in 2023. Inflation is declining. End June inflation rate of 22.8%, a reduction of 31 percentage points from the December 2022, which confirms the target of 15% by end 2024 is possible. Exchange rate has largely stabilized compared to December 2022, despite the recent pressures. The 18.6% depreciation rate to the US dollar as of June 2024 represents an improvement over the 22% recorded for the same period last year. And gross international reserves reached 3.1 months of import cover as at end June 2024, against 2.5 months of import cover in the same period last year. Mr. Speaker, it is evident that we are on the right trajectory. The economy is rebounding stronger than anticipated. The choices we've made and the policies we are implementing are yielding results. We've reversed the negative trends. All the indicators are looking better. I want to assure you that we will stay on this path and continue to make the right choices. Our economy is recovering, and the recovery is fast and strong. Mr. Speaker, over the last 6 months, we've sought to bring some urgency and speed to the implementation of key government programs, and also swiftly provided the necessary support for growth-enhancing initiatives. I am again happy to inform this august House that with the support of His Excellency the President, Cabinet, and all stakeholders, we have successfully concluded the second review of our extended credit facility with the International Monetary Fund, which led to the disbursement of the third tranche of $360 million, bringing total disbursement to about $1.6 billion. We have completed the debt restructuring program with the Official Creditor Committee of Ghana, covering $5.1 billion, resulting in approximately $2.8 billion of debt service relief. This means that we will not service our debt to our official creditors from 2023 to 2026. We have concluded negotiations with our Eurobond holders, covering $13.1 billion, which would lead to a cancellation of $4.7 billion of our debt and provide debt service relief of another $4.4 billion between 2023 and 2026. We've concluded our negotiations with 5 of the 7 independent power producers, which will lead to a saving of $6.6 billion over the remaining lifetime of the power purchase agreements. We've reined in expenditure to ensure we are within the 2024 budget appropriation and exceeded the mid-year non-oil revenue target by 3.7%. In effect, Mr. Speaker, we are living within our means. Indeed, consistent with our programs with the IMF, we are on course to achieving a primary surplus of 0.5% of GDP by end of the year. We've cleared all outstanding bank transfer advice, BTAs, up to 2022, and working hard to pay BTAs from 2023. We've embarked on major reforms of state-owned enterprises, especially those in the energy and cocoa sectors, to be fiscally prudent and reduce their risk on the budget. We've launched the SME Go program to provide financial and technical support to SMEs. We've disbursed 5.4 billion Ghana cedis to support LEAP, school feeding program, capitation grant, and NHIS since January 2024 to reduce the burden on the vulnerable in our society. We've spent about 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to support 1,488,575 students under the free senior high school program between January and June this year. We've paid about 12 billion Ghana cedis to bondholders under our domestic debt exchange program since February to demonstrate our commitment to the program. Mr. Speaker, we've invested almost 10 billion Ghana cedis in the road sector since January 2024 to enhance transportation and spur growth. I can also confirm that government has secured equipment to complement the efforts of our local authorities in improving community roads nationwide. Mr. Speaker, in line with our commitment to infrastructure development, we continue to make progress on projects such as Omfanoti Teaching Hospital, Ofanko Nsawam Road, Keta Water Supply, Obichibi Lamte, and Flowerport interchanges, the 3 bypasses on the Kumasi-Accra Highway, and the Tema-Mpakadam Railway Line. We've completed the Prempeh the First International Airport in Kumasi and the Yakubu Tali International Airport in Tamale. Agenda 111 hospitals are at various stages of completion. We have completed the Afari Hospital in Kumasi and many other hospitals across the country. To advance our digitalization drive and expand our unique identification system, we've invested about 135 million Ghana cedis in the National Identification Program since January 2024. Mr. Speaker, this significant progress has been underpinned by an environment of enhanced and inclusive engagements with key stakeholders. These engagements have provided useful feedback, improved our understanding, and boosted our cooperation with stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, the stabilization is real. We are determined to stay the course on our fiscal consolidation program. Increased attention will continue to be given to prudent management of approved expenditures and improved revenue mobilization. We will also continue with our programs of delivering critical and to key tourist sites. Accordingly, certain critical economic roles have been prioritized. We are structuring a financial arrangement that will ensure the timely completion of these strategic roads: the Accra-Kumasi Highway, Accra-Takoradi Highway, Takoradi-Agona-Nkwanta Junction, and Tema-Afenya Road. We will work with the private sector to close the national housing deficit and optimize land use in urban areas. We will use public-private partnership to deliver public infrastructure projects. Mr. Speaker, Cabinet has also granted approval for the disbursement of an additional 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to provide relief and bailout for those whose funds have been locked up in the fund management companies. The establishment of a framework for the reintroduction of road and bridge tolls in 2025. The operationalization of the integrated property tax system and a review of the fiscal responsibility rules to include a debt rule to support debt sustainability, as well as the establishment of independent fiscal council. Mr. Speaker, our outlook for the rest of the year also takes cognizance of key risks. The IMF this month has already noted that the global economy is in a sticky spot. Upside risk to inflation and their impact on interest rates remain. These coexist in an environment of escalating trade tensions and increased policy uncertainty. On the domestic front, we recognize the need to meet large debt service payments relating to our just-ended debt operations. We will continue to review the performance of key SOEs and engage stakeholders to decisively mitigate their risk. Despite these significant risks, this mid-year fiscal policy review reassesses government's commitment to pursue growth in a context of fiscal consolidation and debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, the developments in key operations for the economy as at mid-year, have prompted shifts in some of the assumptions that underpin the 2024 budget, presented in November 2023. There have been changes in amortization, interest costs due to the external debt operations and disbursement forecasts for externally funded projects. In this regard, we will remain within the appropriation for 2024. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, we are not seeking supplementary funds in this mid-year review. We are determined to be more efficient, strategic, and intentional to enrich and entrench fiscal consolidation and strongly promote growth. Mr. Speaker, in today's presentation of the mid-year policy review of government, I'll provide updates on the following key areas: an update on the macro and fiscal performance for the year 2023, a review of the implementation of the 2024 budget for the first half of the year, the current economic developments and outlook, progress made on the implementation of key government policies, particularly of the IMF-supported PCPEC, the status of Ghana's debt restructuring program, efforts at pursuing growth and development within a stable macroeconomic environment, and the status of implementation of government programs, among others. Mr. Speaker, global growth projections indicate a moderation from 3.5% in 2022 to 3.3% in 2023. This trend is expected to vary slightly into 2024, with a growth of 3.2% and 3.3% in 2025, according to the July 2024 update of the World Economic Outlook. The forecast for Sub-Saharan Africa point to an uptick from 3.4% in 2023 to 3.7% and 4.1% in 2024 and 2025 respectively. This growth trajectory is supported by the reversal of earlier anticipated weather-related shocks and ongoing improvements in supply conditions. Mr. Speaker, global headline inflation is expected to decline from 6.7% in 2023 to 5.9% in 2024, and further to 4.4% in 2025. This is according to the World Economic Outlook update for July 2024. In the Sub-Saharan Africa region, headline inflation is projected to decrease to 6% in 2024 from 10% in 2023. However, about one-third of the region's countries continue to experience double-digit headline inflation, largely influenced by the pass-through impacts of significant currency depreciations. Mr. Speaker, gold prices have reached record highs, rising by 8% annually due to safe haven flows and robust central bank buying. Prices are expected to increase moderately to $2,100 per ounce throughout 2024. Mr. Speaker, when we presented the 2024 budget to this August House last November, we shared our progress in terms of the macroeconomic performance for the first 3 quarters of 2023. Today, with the full year data at our disposal, I present a more comprehensive update on the performance of the domestic economy in 2023 and the first half of 2024. Mr. Speaker, the year 2023 was characterized by improved macroeconomic stability, resilience, and gradual recovery. Despite the persistent global headwinds stemming from the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine conflict, we observed some encouraging developments. We witnessed a gradual shift towards economic stabilization, with most key macroeconomic indicators showing signs of improvement, including growth, proving to be more resilient and robust than initially programmed. Mr. Speaker, provisional 2023 GDP statistics published by the Ghana Statistical Service in April 2024 indicate that growth of the economy in 2023 was more resilient than projected. The economy expanded by 2.9% against a target of 1.5%, whilst non-oil GDP grew by 3.3%. In the first quarter of 2024, growth was 4.7%, the highest growth recorded since the second quarter of 2022. This growth largely reflected an expansion in the industry sector, which recorded a growth of 6.8%. Mr. Speaker, headline inflation decelerated significantly to 23.2% as at end December 2023, representing 31.4 percentage points reduction from the peak of 54.6% recorded in December 2022. In June 2024, headline inflation declined to 22.8%. The decline in price pressures was broadly driven by tight monetary policy stance, ongoing fiscal consolidation of government, and low volatility of transport fares due to stable crude oil prices. Mr. Speaker, in 2023, interest rates broadly showed downward trends at the shorter end of the yield curve, whilst rates at the longer-dated segment of the market remained stable. The 91-day and 182-day Treasury bill rates decreased to 29.4% and 31.7% in December 2023, and further down to 24.9% and 24.6% in June 2024, coming down from 35.5% and 36.2% recorded in December 2022. Mr. Speaker, the banking sector rebounded in 2023 with an improved balance sheet performance in December 2023 on the back of increased liquidity flows from deposits and shareholders' funds. Total assets increased by 29.7% to 274.9 billion Ghana cedis as at end December 2023. Total investment also increased by 47.5% to 100.2 billion Ghana cedis, driven by the bank's reallocated portfolios towards short-term investment in response to the increase in short-term money market rates. Mr. Speaker, developments in Ghana's external sector in 2023 was marked by a general reduction in external payments, resulting in a current account surplus and reduced capital and financial account outflow. Consequently, the overall balance of payment recorded a surplus of $461.6 million. The current account improved to a surplus of $1.41 billion, driven by a strong growth in remittances as the reforms in the fintech ecosystem started to yield positive results. Mr. Speaker, for the first half of 2024, the trade balance recorded a provisional surplus of $1.81 billion, higher than the outturn of $1.6 billion recorded in the corresponding period of 2023. This was the result of a larger increase in exports, which outweighed the increase in imports. The improved trade surplus, together with an even stronger growth in remittances and the lingering reduction in income payments due to the debt standstill, resulted in larger current account surplus of $1.28 billion, and this is 1.5% of GDP. This is recorded in the first half of 2024. This compares with the current account surplus of $863 million, 1.1% of GDP, registered in the same period a year ago. Mr. Speaker, gross international reserves stood at $5.9 billion, equivalent to 2.7 months of import cover for goods and services at the end of December 2023. Our reserves further increased to $6.9 billion, equivalent to 3.1 months of import cover at the end of June this year. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana cedi experienced a relatively moderate depreciation against major international currencies in 2023 compared to the previous year. Cumulatively, the Ghana cedi depreciated by 27.8%, 31.9%, and 30.3% against the US dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro, respectively, in 2023. In the first half of 2024, the cedi depreciated by 18.6%, 17.9%, and 16% against the US dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro, respectively. This compares to a depreciation of 22%, 26.3%, and 23.8% against the US dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro, respectively, in the first half of last year. Mr. Speaker, government fiscal operations for 2023 shows significant improvement in the fiscal balances, demonstrating an effective fiscal consolidation with the primary balance on commitment basis reducing by over 4 percentage points of GDP in 2023 relative to 2022. The fiscal performance for 2023 is presented within the context of the revised 2023 overall deficit on commitment basis, which has a target of 5.7% of GDP, with a corresponding primary deficit of 0.5% of GDP. On cash basis, the revised 2023 overall deficit target was 6.4% of GDP. Overall budget deficit on commitment basis was 31.5 billion Ghana cedis, 3.7% of GDP, compared to the mid-year budget target of 49 billion Ghana cedis, 5.7% of GDP. Primary balance on commitment basis was a deficit of 2.2 billion Ghana cedis, 0.3% of GDP, which was an improvement over the deficit target of 4.1 billion Ghana cedis, 0.5% of GDP, and a significant improvement from the deficit 4.3% of GDP recorded in 2022. The overall budget balance on cash basis was a deficit of 28 billion Ghana cedis, 3.3% of GDP, which is much lower than the target of 55 billion Ghana cedis, 6.4% of GDP, and down from the deficit of 10.6% of GDP recorded in 2022. Primary balance on cash basis was a surplus of 1.4 billion Ghana cedis, 0.2% of GDP, which is an improvement compared to the deficit target of 10.1 billion Ghana cedis, that is 1.2% of GDP, and the deficit 3.2% of GDP recorded in 2022. Mr. Speaker, provisional data on government fiscal operations for the first half of 2024 indicates that revenue mobilization and expenditure execution were broadly in line with the target, resulting in an overall budget deficit on commitment basis of 21.3 billion Ghana cedis. This corresponding primary balance on commitment basis was a deficit of 2.3 billion Ghana cedis, that is 0.2% of GDP, compared to the deficit target of 2.4 billion Ghana cedis, also 0.2% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, the overall cash budget deficit was 36.1 billion Ghana cedis, 3.4% of GDP, compared with the deficit target of 35.2 billion Ghana cedis, 3.3% of GDP. The corresponding primary balance on cash basis was a deficit of 17.1 billion Ghana cedis, 1.6% of GDP, compared with the period target of 8.8 billion Ghana cedis, 0.8% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, total revenue and grants for the first half of 2024 amounted to 74.7 billion Ghana cedis, 1.9% below the target of 76.1 billion Ghana cedis. Despite the shortfalls, the outturn shows a nominal year-on-year growth of 24.6% and constitutes 42.3% of the budget's total revenue for the year. The revenue performance was mainly driven by the strong performance in non-oil tax revenue and non-oil non-tax revenue, which partly offset the shortfalls in oil receipts for the period. Mr. Speaker, total expenditures commitment amounted to 95.9 billion Ghana cedis, below the budget target of 104.8 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, as at end December 2023, the provisional central government and guaranteed debt in nominal terms was 608.4 billion Ghana cedis. This was made up of 351.1 billion Ghana cedis and 257.2 billion Ghana cedis for external and domestic debt, respectively. Mr. Speaker, the provisional total central government debt as at end June 2024 stood at 742 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 70.6% of GDP. This indicates an increase of 22% due to the effect of the cedi depreciation and disbursements from creditors. The stock consists of external debt of 452 billion Ghana cedis and domestic debt of 290 billion Ghana cedis, representing 60.9% and 39.1% of the total debt stock, respectively. As a percentage of GDP, external and domestic debt represented 43% and 27.6%, respectively. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's medium-term macroeconomic and financial outlook and prospects remain positive and favorable, despite the challenging global environment. The ongoing improvement in the implementation of the IMF-supported post-COVID-19 program for economic growth reinforces our commitment to navigate through global uncertainties and address domestic challenges. Government's unwavering dedication to maintaining macroeconomic stability, promoting investment, and enhancing social protection programs continues to re-echo our objective of building back better. Mr. Speaker, it has become necessary to revise the 2024 macroeconomic framework due to recent domestic and global economic developments, including the impact of the debt restructuring. Mr. Speaker, key revisions to the macro fiscal targets for 2024 include overall real GDP growth rate revised upwards from 2.8% to 3.1%. Non-oil real GDP growth rate is revised upwards from 2.1% to 2.8%. Growth in GDP deflator scaled down from 20.2% to 17.5%. Nominal overall GDP has been revised from 1.050 billion Ghana cedis, that is 1 trillion Ghana cedis, to 1.020 billion Ghana cedis. Non-oil GDP has been revised from 979 billion Ghana cedis to 977 billion Ghana cedis. End period head inflation remains unchanged at 15%. Primary balance on commitment basis is maintained at a surplus of 0.5%. And gross international reserves, including oil funds and incumbent or pledged assets, to cover no less than 3 months of imports. Mr. Speaker, accounting for these developments, the revision of the 2024 fiscal framework indicates that the primary balance on commitment basis remains unchanged at the targeted surplus of 0.5% of GDP, in line with the IMF-supported PCPEC objectives. Mr. Speaker, total revenue and grants have been revised upwards by 0.5% to 177.2 billion Ghana cedis in 2024, from the 2024 budget target of 176.4 billion Ghana cedis. This largely reflects increase in non-oil tax revenue, which has been increased from 14.8 billion Ghana cedis to 15.6 billion Ghana cedis to reflect dividends from interest accrued in the ESLA accounts. Mr. Speaker, total expenditure on commitment has been revised downward by 2.1% to 219.7 billion Ghana cedis from the original budget projection of 226.7 billion Ghana cedis. This revision is largely on the back of interest payments, which has been revised downwards by 7.9 billion Ghana cedis to reflect the impact of the external debt restructuring on external interest payments. Mr. Speaker, the overall balance on commitment basis has been revised from a deficit of 50.3 billion Ghana cedis to a deficit of 42.5 billion Ghana cedis. The primary balance on commitment basis is therefore maintained at surplus of 0.5% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, the cash deficit of 54.1 billion Ghana cedis is expected to be financed from foreign and domestic sources. The net foreign financing will amount to 15.2 billion Ghana cedis, representing 28.1% of the total financing for 2024. Foreign financing will include disbursements from the second and third tranche of the IMF program and World Bank Development Policy Operation Fund. Mr. Speaker, the domestic financing will amount to 38.9 billion Ghana cedis, representing 71.9% of the total financing for 2024. This is expected to be sourced from the issuances of debt at the short end of the domestic market and inflows from Ghana Petroleum Funds. Mr. Speaker, the 2024 medium-term debt strategy will continue to build on the strategy implemented in the first half of the year. The strategy will focus on an appropriate financing mix aimed at supporting fiscal consolidation without compromising macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to report that government has made substantial progress since the completion of the domestic debt exchange program in September 2023. We've successfully honored 2 coupon payments, with the second payment of about 5.9 billion Ghana cedis in February 2024. Furthermore, we are on track to make the third coupon payment of 6.1 billion Ghana cedis in August 2024. The timely payments of these coupons will undoubtedly improve investor confidence in the domestic market and bolster the overall economy. After an 8-month period of negotiations, Mr. Speaker, government and the Official Creditor Committee for Ghana reached an agreement in principle on the 12th January 2024, outlining the broad parameters for the restructuring of official bilateral debts. Subsequently, on the 11th June 2024, government and the OCC reached an agreement on an MOU covering the restructuring of about $5.1 billion of the official bilateral debt. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated earlier, I am pleased to report that this agreement resulted in debt service relief amounting to $2.8 billion over the course of the IMF program, 2023 to 2026, which will provide critical liquidity support to the economy. Mr. Speaker, the MOU will serve as the guiding document for amending individual country claims against Ghana. The next critical step is a direct engagement with the bilateral creditors to implement the mutually agreed restructuring terms. Mr. Speaker, government is committed to securing debt treatment from all other external creditors, consistent with the comparability of treatment principle enshrined in the G20 Common Framework. We are pleased to announce that on the 24th June 2024, government reached an agreement in principle with the Eurobond holders to restructure approximately $13.1 billion of outstanding Eurobonds. Additionally, it reduces the nominal value of the outstanding Eurobonds by $4.7 billion and provides debt service relief of about $4.4 billion during the program period. Mr. Speaker, the debt restructuring will result in reducing the present value of our public debt to 55% by 2028, as embedded in the IMF-supported program. Mr. Speaker, the government of Ghana remains committed to engaging in good faith negotiations with other commercial external creditors, comprising primarily private banks and suppliers or contractors that have provided commercial loan facilities. Our objective is to finalize restructuring agreements with these creditors that uphold the principle of comparability of treatment and addresses Ghana's requirement for debt relief, ensuring a comprehensive and sustainable approach to our external debt obligations. The debt restructuring has been a crucial pillar of Ghana's economic recovery from the 2022 crisis. It has helped to restore confidence in the economy, and the following benefits are evident: rapid restoration of macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability, avoidance of steeper fiscal adjustment, creation of fiscal space for development spending, and prevention of a domestic and external banking crisis. Mr. Speaker, despite the benefits, we remain committed to exercising caution, informed by the lessons learned from our experiences and the sacrifices of the Ghanaian people. Our debt strategy going forward includes deepening reforms to ensure irreversibility and building buffers to reduce vulnerabilities and enhance resilience. Mr. Speaker, in the 2024 budget statement and economic policy, government outlined a series of revenue measures consistent with the medium-term revenue strategy. The measures reflected the commitment of government to improve the tax-to-GDP ratio from the current 14.1% to 18 to 20% by 2027. In the 2024 budget, government amended existing legislation to give effect to the revenue measures. These measures also aim to broaden the tax base and improve tax compliance for a more equitable and efficient revenue system. Mr. Speaker, whilst not all the measures were implemented in the first half of the year through enhanced compliance and enforcement, the Ghana Revenue Authority exceeded its mid-year target by 0.2%. Similarly, non-tax revenue performance, as at the end of June, exceeded the target by 14%. Mr. Speaker, in line with its commitment to ensuring full disclosure of retained internal generated funds by public institutions, government has deployed the Ghana.gov platform to over 1,500 public institutions and also rolled out the Ghana Integrated Financial Management Information System, GIFMIX, to 287 IGF-reliant public institutions. As at the end of June, 140 public institutions, including GRA, had gone live and received payments through the platform, totaling 56.4 billion cedis, an increase of 34.6% compared to the same period in 2023. Mr. Speaker, for the rest of the year, the Ministry of Finance will deepen engagement with both GRA and relevant stakeholders to effectively implement policy, administrative, and regulatory measures to ensure that the revenue targets are met. Mr. Speaker, to broaden the tax base, a simplified digital solution for the operationalization of the modified taxation scheme will be deployed, as well as an electronic bookkeeping system. Additionally, 2,000 more taxpayers will be onboarded onto the electronic invoicing system, the EVAT system, by the close of the year. GRA will also continue with the cleaning of the taxpayer register and onboard more taxpayers onto its electronic systems to improve the taxpayer experience and compliance. In addition, GRA will continue to enforce and enhance data sharing with other tax jurisdictions to boost revenue mobilization. Government will reinstitute the integrated property tax system by synthesizing data from MMDAs, lands valuation, ECG, and other relevant government agencies to create a comprehensive digital property record database that will transform property data management and ensure a more efficient and accurate property tax system. Mr. Speaker, to enhance revenue mobilization by IGF-reliant government entities, discussions will be held around provisions of incentives to those institutions that exceed their revenue target for the year. The Ministry will continue the deployment of the Ghana.gov payment platform to remaining public institutions and ensure that all those already onboarded go live. Additionally, the outstanding activities for the full rollout and utilization of the gift mix for the processing of IGF expenditures will be completed by the end of the year. Mr. Speaker, government will also develop a framework for the reintroduction of road and bridge tolls to facilitate the processes for the implementation of a modernized and efficient road and bridge tolling system commencing in 2025. Government undertook to ensure that we will have stability and also ensure that the economy continues to grow. Government also continued the implementation of ongoing programs and seeks in this media review to provide an update on the progress and the outlook for the rest of the year. Mr. Speaker, government is determined to improve road infrastructure in the country. This has been done through the construction of new roads and the upgrade and maintenance of old ones. The rehabilitation and maintenance of road infrastructure nationwide are at various stages of completion. These include Gabosu, Boinzang, ongoing roads, Winnipeg Aswa, Karaga Town roads, Wishaku Town roads, Tolon Daboya roads, Nanton Karaga Wishaku Highway, Sefuwesu Town roads, Accra Kumasi roads, and many other roads. Some of the completed road projects include the Diasoba, Esinchim, Manshia, Anchi, Ajekro, Debra Camp, and others. Sunyani and Brekum inner city roads, Atebubu town roads, Asinfosu, Lumpwa, Koko station, Kohu Tafu, Miasu roads. Mr. Speaker, in addition, the following major roads are at various stages of completion: the rehabilitation of the Tamale-Tatali Road, Phase 2 of the Tema Motorway Roundabout, construction of the flyover over the Accra-Tema Motorway from the Flower Point Roundabout on the Spintex Road to East Legon, construction of the Phase 2 works under the Swami Interchange, dualization of the Sawam Ofanko Road, works on the Aguna Nkonta Takwa Road, works on the Domi Kitasi Road, and Phase 2 of Obichibi Lamte Interchange and ancillary works. Mr. Speaker, our commitment to building an efficient railway network is not just about transportation. It is about fostering economic growth, creating jobs, and enhancing connectivity throughout our nation. The Nsawam-Accra Tema Railway line is completed and in use. The construction of the iconic Tema to Mpakadam Railway line is 99% complete and is expected to be fully completed this year. The construction of the Kodokrom-Manso section is expected to be completed before the end of 2024. The Manso-Honey Valley, which includes the extension of the line into the Takoradi port, is expected to be completed by May 2026. Mr. Speaker, government constructed about 10 fishing ports to improve the livelihood of fishing communities. The Jamestown Fishing Port, which is the last project, is expected to be completed and commissioned by the end of 2024. Mr. Speaker, construction of an oil and gas services terminal at the Takoradi Port is 77% complete. In addition, construction of phase 1 of the Bonkara Integrated Logistics Terminal is about 70% complete. Mr. Speaker, government, in collaboration with its social partners, has developed a draft labor bill 2024 to strengthen labor administration and regulation of the world of work. Key reforms proposed include strengthening labor migration governance, improving employment coordination, extension of maternity leave, and introduction of paternity leave, among others. The labor law is expected to be promulgated before the end of this year. Government continues to reform and position the Youth Employment Agency as a facilitator of jobs for the teeming youth of our country. In the first half of the year, about 90,000 beneficiaries were engaged, including 15,000 youth in community policing, 6,000 youth in community health, 1,500 in prison services, and 2,100 youth in garment and apparel. Mr. Speaker, as part of the preparation towards the conduct of the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections, the Electoral Commission registered voters in 268 district offices and 775 electoral areas. The Commission also compiled the special voters list and managed applications for vote transfers and proxy voting. Mr. Speaker, during the first half of 2024, the National Commission for Civic Education carried out sensitization and awareness creation for a total number of 3.1 million people regarding the peaceful conduct of the 2024 general election. Mr. Speaker, as part of activities to effectively coordinate security coverage for the electoral activities this year, the Police Service has established the Police Election Security Secretariat under the authority of the National Election Security Task Force. Mr. Speaker, in line with our commitment to upholding the rule of law, we have constructed a 12-story state-of-the-art law house to accommodate the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice. This significant project, originally initiated by His Excellency the President during his tenure as Attorney General in 2001, was officially commissioned by him on June 10, 2024. Mr. Speaker, there has been a consistent reduction in irregularities reported by the Auditor General since 2020. Between 2022 and 2023, irregularities reduced by 32%, amounting to savings of about 5.2 billion Ghana cedis. Also, due to the policies, guidelines, and the PFM measures implemented by the Ministry of Finance, about 99.26% of all irregularities identified in 2023 by the Auditor General are recoverable. The Ministry of Finance is working with the Internal Audit Agency, internal audit units, and audit committees to recover these amounts. Mr. Speaker, this economy has been anchored on the entrepreneurial spirit of our SMEs over the decades. They employ 80% of our people and contribute about 70% to GDP. However, SMEs continue to have challenges regarding access to finance, widening skills gaps, limited access to technology and digital infrastructure, and regulatory constraints as well. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated earlier, the SME Growth and Opportunity Program, SME Go, has been launched to connect SMEs with resources, expertise, and opportunities. Altogether, we've mobilized about 8.2 billion Ghana cedis through Development Bank Ghana, Ghana Exim Bank, Ghana Enterprise Agency, and other partners for SMEs to grow and increase competitiveness in regional markets. We are grateful to the IFC for the $400 million and to the Africa Development Bank for the $45 million support provided towards this program. We will also continue our collaboration with key institutions such as the Ministry of Trade and Industry, the Ghana Commodity Exchange, the Venture Capital Trust Fund, GESA, NEP, MASLOC, and YEA to support the SME ecosystem in this new era of SME development. Mr. Speaker, we prioritize the agricultural sector due to its far-reaching impact on the economy and livelihoods. To improve our food security, we are implementing the Enhanced Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 2. Through this program, we introduced the input credit system and adopted technology-driven platforms, enabling farmers and value chain actors to operate transparently and efficiently. Mr. Speaker, to support the private sector in enhancing fish and aquaculture production, we've scaled up the supply of premix fuel since January 2024. Additionally, we are also partnering with private enterprises and are providing employment to about 10,000 people to expand and venture further into aquaculture. Mr. Speaker, government has remained focused on expanding the economic enclave projects under the Ghana Cares program. We secured 50,000 acres of land to ensure security of tenure and de-risk agricultural investments, thereby attracting private sector involvement in the cultivation of rice, maize, soya, poultry, grains, vegetables, and animal husbandry. At the Kusunya EEP in the Greater Accra region, government has taken significant steps to de-risk private sector operations for the cultivation of rice, including the completion of 18 kilometers of feeder routes from Chopoli Junction on the main Accra-Ada route to the enclave, extension of 18 kilometers electricity to the enclave, development of a 20-kilometer irrigation canal for consistent water supply and year-round farming. Additionally, we have trained about 500 youths on agricultural entrepreneurship through a $6.1 million partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. These investments have
Honorable Minister, may you just have a short break? I will suspend.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sitting for 5 minutes. Take your breath, and I will ease up and come back in 5 minutes. Sitting is suspended for 5 minutes.
Political, textiles, and garments, as well as the automotive industries. Our efforts aim to attract new investments, expand job creation, and enhance value addition. Under our 1G1F flagship initiative, we've supported 321 factories across 142 districts nationwide, creating jobs for about 170,000 Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, guided by the Strategic Anchor Industries Framework, 13 vehicle assembly plants has been established and 4,700 vehicles produced locally. We aim to penetrate the sub-regional market through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Framework and pursue local assembly of electric vehicles in line with our electric vehicle policy. Mr. Speaker, Ghana is being positioned as an internationally competitive tourism destination. Tourist arrivals have increased from about 500,000 in 2023 to almost 600,000 in the first half of 2024. This is an increase in several hundreds of thousands of tourists. And this has led to receipts of about $1.8 billion compared to $1.5 billion over the same period last year. To complement this progress, we've enhanced tourism infrastructure, marketing, supply chain links through the redevelopment of key tourist sites such as Eburi Gardens, Asantua Mausoleum, the Museum at Ejisu, and the Pikoro Slave Camp. Mr. Speaker, we have made significant progress in enhancing sports infrastructure, talent development, and ensuring that our athletes have the resources they need to excel. Ghana successfully hosted the 13th African Games from the 4th to the 23rd March 2024 in Accra at the new International Standard Multi-Complex Sports Facility at Botiman and the newly commissioned University of Ghana Sports Stadium. We placed 5th in the medals table with a total of 69 medals, 19 gold, 29 silver, and 21 bronze. This is Ghana's best performance at an international multi-sport event so far. Mr. Speaker, the Black Challenge of Ghana also participated and won the trophy in the 2024 African Amputee Football Cup of Nations tournament, hosted and organized in Egypt. This win secured the team a spot at the 2026 Amputee World Cup tournament. Mr. Speaker, government continued to implement various social intervention programs to protect the poor and the vulnerable, to alleviate poverty and improve the country's human development indices. Speaker, there is empirical evidence that education is the great leveler that improves opportunities for any child along the social stratification. As UNICEF has already pointed out, education is a key social and cultural right and plays an important role in reducing poverty and child labor. Furthermore, education promotes democracy, peace, tolerance, development, and economic growth. Convinced about these objectives, government has over the last 8 years prioritized education. This is to ensure that over time, skills will be improved to protect and impact productivity, to grow the economy, and to improve living standards. Mr. Speaker, in 2008, His Excellency the President, then the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, announced the policy of free senior high school. And for 8 years, he kept his conviction. On 2nd March 2017, government allocated 400 million Ghana cedis to implement free senior high school. We also indicated that our oil resources will fund the program, as the President believes that every Ghanaian child must benefit from the oil resources of our country. The impact of the program is evident. To date, a total of over 9.9 billion Ghana cedis has been spent on the program, and a cumulative total of 5.7 million young people have benefited from this initiative, many of whom may not have had this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, to complement this effort, we provided facilities under TVET to empower our young people with employable skills, with 168,000 students enrolled in the 2023-2024 year. Additionally, we are constructing 10 STEM schools and 10 STEM centers across the country. We are also building the first 2 STEM colleges of education in Karga in the northern region and Tepa in the Ashanti region. We have distributed 900,000 tablets for secondary school students. Quality education has been given considerable focus, Mr. Speaker, because the performance of the students at WAXI in 2023 is also the best since 2015. Mr. Speaker, to ease the financial burden on parents and guardians of public basic school pupils, government disbursed about 38 million Ghana cedis as capitation grant for the first half of 2024 to ensure schools have adequate resources to provide quality education. Additionally, funds have been released for the payment of feeding grants to all public schools, public special schools, institutions for the handicapped for the 2024 academic year, thereby further supporting the vulnerable students in our country. Mr. Speaker, it is worth noting that the capitation grant has increased from 5 Ghana cedis in 2016 to 15 Ghana cedis in 2024. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana School Feeding Program commenced in 2006-2007 with 1,950 beneficiaries. Over the years, there has been considerable growth of the program, from 1.6 million beneficiaries in 2016 to over 3.8 million beneficiaries in 2023 and is currently in the region of 4 million beneficiaries. In 1 year, Mr. Speaker, we have added over 200,000 students. Mr. Speaker, an amount of over 662 million Ghana cedis was paid to caterers as at the end of June 2024. The program continues to provide employment of over 34,000 caterers and cooks, especially women, to generate income to enable them to take care of their families. The program has also created a ready market for local farmers, thereby boosting the local economy. Mr. Speaker, to protect the real value of the benefits for most of our vulnerable households, government has, in the last 2 years, increased the LEAP grant from 64 Ghana cedis in 2022 to 256 Ghana cedis in 2024 per beneficiary, meaning that we have doubled the grant every year for the last 2 years. This measure ensures that the program's outcomes are effectively achieved. Under the enhanced LEAP, the number of beneficiary households has increased from 212,917 people in 2016 to 324,073 in 2024. Mr. Speaker, as part of government digitalization agenda, the e-health project is progressing steadily with concentration on health centers and polyclinics this year. As of June 2024, a total of 49 polyclinics and 144 health centers have been connected, enhancing access to patient data at the point of care, claims management, and real-time biosurveillance data. This has significantly strengthened the country's health delivery system. Mr. Speaker, the following projects were completed between January and June 2024. The Urology and Nephrology Center of Excellence at the Kwalebu Teaching Hospital, district hospitals at Kumeu and Fomina, and CHIPS compounds at Debiso, Nkrofo, Denchira, Anani Krum, and Kwanyako, and many more CHIPS compounds across the country. Mr. Speaker, as part of government efforts to increase access to health service, the National Health Insurance Authority reviewed the benefit package to include childhood cancers, prostate cancer, mental health care, annual health check, dialysis services, and care for sickle cell patients. Mr. Speaker, by the end of 2024, the NHIS intends to increase enrollment of active members from 14.5 million, representing 44.3% coverage, to 20.8 million, representing 63.5% of the population. NHIS will also intensify sensitization on the electronic enrollment platforms by introducing cashless payments, integration with GiveMix platform, e-receipts, and e-payments. Mr. Speaker, government continues to honor the payment of trainee allowances. A total amount of 290 million Ghana cedis was paid as allowances to 104,000 nursing trainees from January to June 2024. Similarly, a total of 260 million Ghana cedis has been released as allowances to 67,000 teacher trainees for the 2023-24 academic year. Mr. Speaker, government initiated the implementation of various activities towards achieving effective management and utilization of water resources, as well as improving the general water quality. Works progress steadily under the Water for All agenda. The following projects are completed: Ejura Water System, Wunensi Water System, and Bole Water System. The following are at various stages of completion: Wenchi Water Supply Project, Sekendita Kradi Water Supply Project, Keta Water Supply Project, Yendi Water Supply, Tamale Water Supply, Damongo Water Supply, Sunyani Water Supply, and Techiman Water Supply Project. Government is further committed to increasing access to improved sanitation and water supply in Greater Accra and Ashanti regions. The total of about 40,000 and 24,000 household sanitation facilities were provided in the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area and the Greater Kumasi Metropolitan Area, respectively, benefiting over 400,000 people. Mr. Speaker, our people are burdened with long commutes and mountain stress due to the lack of decent and conveniently located housing. Government, in partnership with private developers and the banks, is looking at building high-rise, reasonable price accommodations within the cities of Accra and Kumasi, and in future extend to other big cities. In the coming weeks, the Minister for Works and Housing will present the full housing reform package in the private sector at East Corp. Speaker, government during the first half of the year continued to implement the National Rental Assistance Scheme, which has benefited 2,074 individuals to date. Mr. Speaker, under the National Food Flood Control Program, over 1,000 kilometers of drains have been newly constructed, rechanneled, and maintained nationwide to reduce the impact of the perennial devastating floods. In addition, preparatory activities towards the construction of houses for households affected by the controlled spillage of the Akosombo Dam were completed following extensive engagement with stakeholders. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, I'm coming to conclusion. Mr. Speaker, we stand at the midpoint of 2024 with a strong economic performance and a brighter future. This mid-year fiscal policy review confirms our unwavering commitment to fiscal consolidation, economic growth, and protecting the vulnerable in our nation. Today, I've outlined the remarkable progress we've made in fiscal consolidation. Our economy is rebounding, evidenced by the stability we have demonstrated. Our progress enables us to be confident about the future. This is the result of effective implementation of the policies and programs outlined in the 2024 budget. Together, Mr. Speaker, we have successfully navigated challenges in the last 7 months. We continue to stay the course and achieve successes with the IMF ECF program. We have concluded the external debt restructuring with the OCC, Eurobond holders, and key energy sector IPPs. We have kept our promise to DDEP bondholders with coupon payments. We've invested in our infrastructure, our people, and our future. And we've seized this opportunity to commence reforms in public financial management, financial sector, and state-owned enterprises. More importantly, we are rebuilding trust, we are regaining policy credibility, restoring confidence in the economy, and raising hope for our businesses and families. We are proving that quick recovery is possible. We are proving that growth with fiscal consolidation is possible. Mr. Speaker, this mindset of possibility is critical. That is what transforms individuals, families, and communities, businesses, and nations alike. It has been the same mindset that has guided our actions as a government since 2017. Mr. Speaker, it took a possibility mindset to expand and improve existing strategic social interventions to cater for the vulnerable in our society. That possibility mindset underpinned how we invested in the Ghana School Feeding Program to increase beneficiaries from about 1.6 million people in 2016 to about 3.8 million beneficiaries this year. Increased spending on LEAP from 49 million Ghana cedis in 2016 to 423 million Ghana cedis today to support 350,000 households, compared with 212,000 households in 2016. Increased spending on the NHIS from 1.1 billion Ghana cedis in 2016 to 6.5 billion Ghana cedis in 2024. And through digitalization, we've increased active membership from 10.8 million in 2018 to over 17 million people. We've increased the capitation grant per child from 5 Ghana cedis in 2016 to 15 Ghana cedis in 2024. We've increased the share of the District Assembly Common Fund to persons with disabilities by 50%. We've doubled the number of student loan recipients from 30,000 on average per year to 58,000 per year currently by removing the guarantor policy under the Student Loan Trust Fund. Mr. Speaker, this critical mindset of possibilities was our guide when we introduced the free senior high school program, which has increased total enrollment year on year from about 800,000 in the 2016-2017 academic year to 1.4 million in the 2023-2024 academic year. We introduced the National Rental Assistance Scheme to assist people with rent advance, which has benefited over 2,000 people so far. Introduced a medical drone delivery service and onboarded over 2,700 health facilities. Introduced mobile money interoperability, which has led to Ghana achieving 95% access in financial inclusion. Introduced the Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication program, which delivered 1,609 completed projects in all 275 constituencies. Introduced the Zongo Development Fund and constructed over 200 infrastructure projects in Zongo communities. Introduced the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, NEP, to support over 10,000 beneficiaries. And introduced the paperless system at the ports and digitalized the operations of the DVLA. Introduced the 1G1F initiative to diversify our economy. To date, 321 1G1F projects are at various stages of completion, with 169 fully functional and providing over 170,000 direct and indirect jobs. Introduced the Planting for Food and Jobs to provide critical inputs and improve food security. Instituted the Year of Return and Beyond the Return and the December in Ghana initiative to promote tourism. Created 6 new regions to deepen decentralization and participatory development. Mr. Speaker, that mindset of possibilities has enabled us to keep the lights on, to clear all accumulated BTAs up to 2022, constructing 120 courts with 80 completed and 150 bungalows for the judiciary. Restore teacher and nurses training allowances that were cancelled. Protect the deposits of 4.6 million Ghanaians by saving the banking system from collapse. Absorb examination fees for all students for BEC and WACC examinations. Guarantee access to the critical drug for sickle cell patients in Ghana. And this is the first of such initiative in Africa. Network and digitalize the records of all teaching, regional, and district hospitals in Ghana to ensure that referrals are possible without the patient's folder being physically transported. Implement the motor insurance database to enable verification of insurance status on mobile phones. Pass the Right to Information law. Distribute 20,000 LPG food stoves and about 430,000 Japa stoves to promote clean cooking. Mr. Speaker, the same mindset of possibilities was present when we faced COVID in 2020. We demonstrated compassion to ensure that we paid public sector workers full wages even when revenue sharply declined. Provided free water to all households for a year. Provided free electricity to lifeline consumers and a 50% discount to other consumers for a whole year. It is important to note that between 2009 and 2016, the average annual increase in end-user electricity tariffs was 50% per year. Between 2017 and 2023, the average annual increase was 11.1%. We commenced Agenda 111 health infrastructure projects, and they are at various stages of completion. We rolled out the 750 million Ghana cedis CAP BAS program to directly support micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Established a 2 billion Ghana cedi guarantee facility to support all large enterprises and for job retention. Provided cooked meals to 27 million vulnerable persons and worked with faith-based organizations to distribute dry food packages to 470,000 families. Mr. Speaker, we also have demonstrated what this mindset of possibilities can achieve in the infrastructure space. We increased the road network from 78,000 kilometers to nearly 100,000 kilometers. We've invested significantly in road network expansion and improvement, including the construction of over 2,000 kilometers of asphaltic overlay, as well as the rehabilitation and maintenance of about 11,674 kilometers of roads. Completed the Tamale Interchange, Pokwasi Interchange, Temamotowe Interchange, Obichibi Lamte Interchange, Flower Pot Interchanges, and other few others are under construction. We've completed and commissioned Prempeh, the first international airport, Yakubu Tali International Airport in Tamale, and phase 1 of the Sunyani Airport rehabilitation. We restored the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, constructed 2 major fishing harbors in Elmina and Jamestown in Accra, completed the iconic Tema Mpakadam Railway, initiated the construction and rehabilitation of Achimota and Sawam, Accra Tema, Kojokrom Takwa, Kojokrom Mansu Railway, completed 6 abandoned Eurogate health sector projects and 3 other stalled projects we inherited, including Upper West Regional Hospital, Ga East Municipal Hospital, Tyne District Hospital, Tepa Municipal Hospital, Chifupraso District Hospital, Asante Akim Central District Hospital, Formina Hospital, Bekwai Hospital, and Kumeu Hospital. We constructed sea defense projects to protect communities. We constructed sea defense projects to protect communities in Komenda, Nimbo Prampram, Axim, Elmina, Anumabo, and Keta. We constructing forward operating bases to enable the armed forces to protect the territorial integrity of our land. Constructed 80,000 metric ton warehouses under One District, One Warehouse initiative. Constructed about 400 out of the 560 small earth dams in the 5 northern regions in fulfillment of the One Village, One Dam promise. Constructed more than 800 sanitation facilities. As a result, we have increased the proportion of the population with access to sanitary facilities from 33% in 2016 to 80.8%. This has resulted in a virtual elimination of cholera in Ghana. We completed the University of Ghana Stadium in Lagos. We built multi-purpose sports facilities at Botima for the African Games, as well as increased public astroturf in Ghana from 3 in 2016 to over 150 now. Extended more rural telephony network by increasing from 78 sites in 2016 to 1,008 sites today. Constructed more public libraries and have increased the total number of public libraries from 61 in 2017 to 115 by 2023. We've added 134.1 megawatt of renewable energy to our energy mix from a low of 37.7 megawatt in 2016. Mr. Speaker, we have used this critical mindset of possibilities to reposition our country for the future. Today, we are the proud host of the Africa Continental Free Trade Secretariat and the Climate Vulnerable Forum Secretariat. In addition, we demonstrated our can-do spirit when we hosted the 13th African Games, the African Development Bank Annual General Meetings, Afro-Exim Bank Annual General Meetings, and just last weekend, the 50th anniversary of Badia and the AU Summit. Clearly, Mr. Speaker, Ghana has become the destination of choice for international conferences. Mr. Speaker, we've also become a regional leader in digitalization, and we are preparing our citizens for the fourth industrial revolution. Mr. Speaker, these investments are historic and unprecedented. They make a significant difference in our lives as a nation. To achieve the core objective of economic transformation, we must keep at it. Mr. Speaker, we must complete this together. We will continue to prudently manage public finances and protect the vulnerable. We will support enterprises through our SME Go program, invest in agriculture to impact inflation, address food imports, and preserve foreign exchange. We will invest in roads that advance trade integration and productivity. We will improve housing delivery and optimize land use. We will promote the digitalization drive to improve service delivery. Mr. Speaker, we must do this for the sake of the market women who promote trade in our country. We must do this for the future of school children and young graduates. We must do this to support working parents to build their families. We must do this to enable our businesses set up and step out to take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We must do this to protect and care for widows, the aged, and the disadvantaged in our society. We must do this because it is possible. A lot more is possible. Mr. Speaker, we are using this same mindset of possibilities to confront the economic challenges we have faced. Already, we are seeing results. In this mid-year fiscal policy review, we are not seeking additional resources to spend. Rather, we are trying to stay the course within appropriation. Our progress has informed our proposal to reinstate the fiscal rule on the 5% deficit threshold, which we suspended in 2020, and we expect this to take effect in 2025. Let us continue this path with hope and the unwavering belief that together we can achieve greatness. We are building a Ghana that is more inclusive, that is more sustainable, and that is more transformed. Let us rise to the challenge. Let us work together and let us build a future that is worthy of our highest aspirations. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I want to express immense gratitude to Allah for His grace, for His mercy, and His favor. He has continued to be generous to me, to my ministry, and to our nation. Even as one of your own, I do not take for granted the support this House continues to give me. I want to acknowledge my predecessor, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Ken Oforiatta, for his leadership and dedication of service in the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Speaker, this is important. I want to also extend a special appreciation to the good people of Karaga constituency. I know that their overwhelming support has been vital in serving our country and our constituency. Right, Honorable Speaker, let me once again express my sincere appreciation for the opportunity to present the 2024 Mid-Year Fiscal Review to this august House. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, honorable members of this great House. And may the Almighty Allah bless us all, bless our homeland Ghana, and make us great and strong. Thank you.